Welcome back to my humble little YouTube channel where we talk about film cameras and film camera accessories. And today we're going to talk about the one film camera that I think every film photographer should have. I'm a husband and a family man, believe it or not. And usually when we go on little vacations and trips, my bunch can't be bothered to let me piddle with all my film cameras and trying to get the settings just right. They're just not interested in waiting. But at the end of the day, I'm a photographer, and a film photographer at that. What am I to do? I still want to be able to take pictures when we have a birthday party or we go on a little trip or whatever. And I don't want to be yelled at the whole time. Enter the Contax T2. That's right, you heard me right. Everyone needs a Contax T2. But it's $1,200, you idiot. All right. I know I use the Contax T2 in the thumbnail, and make no mistake, I love my Contax T2 more than anything. Almost more than my Leica M6. It's an awesome little camera. It does everything I need it to do, super high quality. But at $1,200, it doesn't represent a very good value proposition. So to be perfectly clear, at the end of this video, I'm not gonna recommend that you buy a Contax T2, but I do have a few suggestions. We're gonna spend some time in this video talking about a genre of film camera that I really love, and that is the premium point and shoot camera. I'm not gonna tell you to buy the Contax T2 unless you got a bunch of money. In that case, let her rip, tater chip. So let's talk a little bit about my newfound favorite genre of film camera, the premium point and shoot. What makes a premium point and shoot camera so awesome, so appealing? Something that I think everybody needs. Well, I think first and foremost, we have to talk about the size. I mean, you can look at my Contax T2, for example, super small, super portable, easy to get into a pocket and take with you on a day-to-day basis. And it's just like that old cliche, the best camera in the world is the one that you've got with you. And with these cameras being so small, it's entirely likely that you'll have one of these with you. Another thing that's really great about a premium point and shoot film camera is the simplicity of the controls. It wouldn't take you long for me to put this camera in your hand for you to be able to figure out how to operate it. Even if you're completely inexperienced with film cameras, there just isn't that much that can go wrong with one of these. I mean, you select AF, the lens comes out, and then you start taking pictures. The one thing that you do have to control on the Contax T2 is select the aperture or choose whether or not you want flash. But, I mean, at the end of the day, that's not too big a deal. And there are also tons of point and shoot cameras out there that will decide that for you as well. But there just isn't that much to control on this thing. It's hard to get it wrong. The camera really just stays out of your way and lets you capture the images that you're after without being too much of an inconvenience. And it's ultimately the simplicity of those controls that makes the shooting experience very fast. And getting back to my original hypothetical at the start of this video, going on a vacation and wanting to stay out of everyone's way and not getting yelled at, the camera operates very quickly. I see something I'm interested in, I flip the camera on, and boom, I take a picture. It's that simple. And the next thing that I feel makes a premium point and shoot camera is the lens. And in the case of the Contax T2, that is a Contax f2.8 prime lens. The lens takes really good images. It's really compact, as you can see when I flipped it on earlier. It's really small, it folds up inside the camera body, and it has this retracting action. We'll talk a little bit more about the electronics that make all that happen in a second, but for our purposes now, the lens is really sharp and really compact. I mean, what more do you want? And something I look for in these premium point and shoot cameras are prime lenses. I really love a prime lens. I don't mind using the old foot zoom to be able to construct my shot. In fact, I actually like that limitation. I think it forces some creativity. And the other trade-off, and the other side benefit of using a prime lens, as we all know, they're usually more simple optical designs that yield sharper images. And oftentimes they're broader as well. So in my mind at least, it's just W's all the way around for prime lenses. So that's something I look for. Premium point and shoot cameras really like a prime lens. And the consequence of all of these parts working together, you got the small camera body, you got the really sharp lens, you got the simple controls. Take the camera with you on the trip, take lots and lots of images and not inconvenience anyone, and still, at the end of the day, get really nice image quality. And to me, that's the appeal of a premium point and shoot film camera. So what are the drawbacks of shooting a camera like this? Well, the first and most obvious one that comes to mind is the price. Unfortunately, cameras being this good, prime lenses, high build quality, wonderful name brands, Contax, Leica, Yashica, Olympus, all these wonderful point and shoot cameras, they're just going up and up and up in price, and you're just not going to be able to get these things very cheap. I mean, even some of the lower price options that I'm going to talk about in just a second are still going to be a couple of $100s. And again, at the top of the range, you have models like this Contax. So that is one major drawback, is they're pretty expensive these days. There are a lot cheaper options if you're looking to shoot film. You can pick up a Nikon or a Canon film SLR for $50 all day long, no problem. There are other problems that plague these cameras though, and I alluded to this at the start of the video, but one is the electronics. Everything inside this camera is done with electronics, and even the later model premium point and shoots like this one are still at best 20, 30 years old. These are older cameras at this point, and the electronics won't work forever. They're all kind of ticking time bombs. I have this little LCD on the top of my camera. I can't tell you how many I looked at on eBay where the LCDs were leaking. These cameras are notorious for developing problems the older they get, and eventually they all meet their fate as becoming a paperweight for your desk. So that's the risk you run. Spend a lot of money on the camera, and at the end of the day, it could ultimately still be a paperweight. So kind of a bummer. And another thing, I know there are going to be folks in the comments, I see them on every video where I talk about, the difficulty of shooting manual cameras. Some folks are just not going to be interested in that really simple shooting experience and the camera making some decisions for you. But I don't see a premium point and shoot film camera like this as really replacing your more complicated large format or your more complicated manual SLR that you love so much. I really see this as something that accompanies those other cameras that you have. I think a photographer going on a trip may bring, let's say, his medium format Mamiya M645, like I've got, love that camera as well, but also your Contax T2. And in situations where you're time limited, you may take your Contax, but in situations where you have the time to go out, maybe you're doing some sunrise photography, sunset photography, you could take your medium format. I really see this kind of camera as something to bridge the gap in those times where it's really difficult to shoot. Like I said, maybe you're in a time crunch. That's where one of these comes into play. So let's talk about some examples of great premium point and shoot film cameras. So two that I really love right off the bat, and I think these can still be had for pretty reasonable prices, are the Olympus XA and the Olympus XA2. Take a look at these things. You can look at the cameras. They have a kind of a more modern design, lots of plastic involved in the construction. They've got a really unique sliding design where the body slides open and closed to cover up the lens and protect it. But a lot of those same qualities that I talked about with the Contax T2, automatic functionality, and also a prime lens, these cameras are known to be really reliable and will still work for years to come. So the Olympus XA, Olympus XA2, really great options. Another one that I think is really cool, really sexy, is the Leica C1. And I know there are going to be folks in the comments that are going to complain about how slow these are. I think these are really good looking cameras, and if that's something you're interested in, the aesthetic of the camera, I think these look really great. Metal construction on the outside, a wonderful Leica lens on the front, and this camera, unlike the Olympus or the Contax, has a zoom lens. It's actually a 38mm to a 105, and with that comes a variable aperture. But I've seen lots of images that come out of that zoom lens, and they're all really sharp, look great. And for the folks out there who are interested in the Contax like I've got, but maybe don't have the $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 that these run, also the Contax TVS, which is the poor man's Contax, I guess, these days. There's some very subtle distinctions with the Contax TVS versus the T2. One, just like the Leica that we previously mentioned, this camera also has a zoom lens. So you do lose some of the benefits of having a prime lens on the front of the camera, but for some people, you may enjoy the trade-off of having the ability to zoom the camera in and out. T in the TVS stands for titanium. Hey. They also feature that wonderful champagne finish that everybody loves so well. My Contax G1 had it, and I found that finish to be really strong, really durable, and didn't really wear a lot. The lens on that camera is a 28mm, 56mm lens, which to me is kind of strange. And the Contax TVS, last time I checked, could be had for about half the price of the T2, so you're looking at $400 or $600, at least in the year of our Lord 2024. Just completely no selling that I've got a cat on my back. And this video wouldn't be a video about premium point and shoot cameras without a discussion of the Ricoh. And in this case, I'm not going to talk about the Ricoh GR1. We've had tons of expensive cameras on the list, but there's also the Ricoh R1F. It doesn't get the glory of the Ricoh GR, but these are still really awesome cameras. And we're back in the world of a prime lens once again. These are f3.5 prime lenses. So really nice cameras, and those can be had for $200 or $300. So awesome cameras if you're not interested in paying the premium for the GR. But with a quick Google, you can find other great examples of premium point and shoot film cameras out there that would do you just as well. Over the past few years since I've been making these videos, I've bought quite a few cameras, and I'm always buying and selling cameras, and it's really interesting. I think it kind of gives me an interesting perspective on the things that I want to keep. How long the camera stays in my portfolio is really a testament to how good the camera is. And I know that I just bought the Contax T2, but this has suddenly replaced my Leica M6 in my briefcase as the camera that I take with me every day to work. So really awesome camera. I didn't expect to enjoy the format as much as I have. There's just something to be said for the convenience. The other day, for example, we had a really nice foggy morning in Kentucky. Pulled my car over on the side of the road, pulled out my Contax T2, and then snapped a picture. Just really convenient, no hassle to it. And there's just something to be said for that, especially for those of us who are trying to bridge the gap. Let's say we came from digital or we came from smartphone photography. There's something to be said for the simplicity, the easy use of just pulling the camera out of your pocket and taking a picture. But if at the end of this video you want more suggestions of cheap 35mm film cameras, take a look at this video I made where I talked about 50 film cameras that can be had for more or less under $50. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Why did you let me do that? You guys just gonna sit here and watch me pet my cat? Go home, that's weird.